Hello, people. It's time to play the music. It's time to light the lights. Because we're going to be looking at the Muppets tonight. From their songs, to their comedy, to their movies and TV shows, there's a lot to like about the Muppets and some to learn. From origins to buyouts to lawsuits. The Muppets were created by the late great Jim Henson, the first of which was Kermit the Frog, who is now the most recognizable Muppet character. Besides, probably Elmo. Originally, the Muppets were going to be for a more adult audience, and first appeared in 1955 on the TV show Sam and Friends, a short-form series in Washington, D.C. For the rest of the 50s and throughout the 60s, the Muppets would appear on several talk shows and in TV commercials. In 1966, Jim Henson was approached by Joanne Cooney and Lloyd Morissette, and asked if he would make some Muppets for a children's educational TV show that would come to be Sesame Street. Jim would agree and operate some puppets in exchange for the ownership of the characters that he created for the show. In the 70s, Muppets would continue their TV presence, most notably Saturday Night Live, but Jim would also work on developing a show for the Muppets that would be aimed at more of an adult audience and would focus on sketch comedy. The show found little interest in the US and would lead to Jim partnering with Lou Grade, a British TV producer. The Muppets would gain popularity in the US after it had begun airing in the UK. The show ran for 5 seasons from 1976 until 1981. The success of The Muppet Show would allow Jim to be able to make Muppet films. The first of these would be The Muppet Movie, which was released in 1979 and was followed by The Great Muppet Caper in 1981, and finally The Muppets Take Manhattan in 1984. In 1989, Jim would enter negotiations with the Walt Disney Company, in which Disney hoped to acquire Jim Henson Productions, which would also give them ownership of the Muppets. This deal, however, was cancelled after the death of Jim Henson on May 16, 1990. Disney would acquire the rights to use the Muppet characters at Disney theme parks, and they would also help produce The Muppet Christmas Carol in 1992 and Muppet Treasure Island in 1996. Sometime in the late 90s, after 1996, the maker of Spam, Hormel Foods, sued Jim Henson Productions for making fun of their product in the movie Muppet Treasure Island with the character Spam. They said that it diluted the Spam trademark. Ultimately, the court dismissed the claims. In the year 2000, Jim Henson Productions was sold to EMTV in merchandising, but shortly after the purchase, EMTV's stock collapsed, and in 2003, the Henson family would reacquire the company, except for the Sesame Street characters, which were sold to Sesame Workshop. In 2004, Disney would acquire the Muppet intellectual property. Not much really happened with the Muppets between 2004 and 2011. In 2011, a new Muppet film was released. This was called The Muppets and was a massive success, grossing $165 million, more than 3 times the movie's budget. Following the success of The Muppets, Disney released Muppets Most Wanted in 2014, but it didn't do quite as well, making only $30 million more than the budget. Since then, Disney has continued to make smaller Muppet projects, none of which have been quite as successful as they would have hoped. For a little under 70 years, Kermit and his felty friends have brought joy to people around the world through their songs and comedy. We don't know what's ahead for the Muppets. We hope for the best. But for now, that's the history. And as always, thanks for watching.